As we move forward to getting an agreement on the climate change negotiations for the post-2012 period, hopefully in Copenhagen in December of 2009, the serious negotiations under the Framework Convention on Climate Change have just started in Bonn. The first meeting just ended yesterday. And the main outcome of this meeting was to put together the framework for the agreement in Copenhagen and agree on the elements of it. So whereas in the past things were negotiated in different streams on mitigation, on adaptation, on tech transfer and forestry, now those streams need to be brought together into some overarching framework. And the overarching framework is practically about financing, because all of the issues involve financing to some extent. And the financing part has now emerged as the most crucial part of the negotiations going forward. One of the things that we work with are the least developed countries group, who are one of the most vulnerable groups of countries. There are 50 of the poorest countries in the world, most of them in sub-Saharan Africa, who have been trying to negotiate as a group and get their voices heard. One of the things that they achieved a few years ago at the 7th Conference of Parties in Marrakesh was the creation of a least developed countries fund, which was to support national adaptation programs of action, or NAPAs, in all 50 of the countries. So far, about 40 of the countries have completed their NAPAs and now want to implement the adaptation actions that they identified, and they need funding to do that. The fund has less than $200 million in it, but in order for all the countries to achieve the implementation of all the NAPA projects, they're going to need in the order of $2 billion. So one of the advocacy items that the least developed countries have been pushing, and we have been helping, is for the fund, the least developed countries fund, to be replenished up to the level of $2 billion to enable these countries to do their implementation of the immediate and urgent actions identified in the NAPAs. One of the other things that is crucial going forward is the ability to negotiate with so many negotiation meetings going on one after the other. This is just the start of the negotiation process. There'll be another meeting in Bonn in June, there'll be another meeting after that in Bangkok in September, and there's talk of a final meeting even before Copenhagen in November, then coming to Copenhagen in December. Many of the poor countries, particularly the least developed countries, simply don't have the capacity for this ongoing, continuous negotiation. And one of the things we've been doing together with our sister organization, the Foundation for International Law and Development, is to help them build their capacity both at the technical level as well as at the negotiating capacity level with the negotiators, and to some extent also helping some of the civil society NGOs from these countries to participate in the process and bring civil society voices to them. And that's helped them to raise their voices in the international negotiations.